Welcome back. Let me ask you a very silly question today, okay? The question is relevant in this part of the state, but I don't know if it's relevant in your part since it's summer. I think in different parts of the country now it's not summer, but in this country it's summer. Most of the states have summer now. And summer is a time when these silly questions are relevant. So my question is, how many glasses of water do you drink in a day? And why is so important? A silly question. People who are deep dwellers, like people who like higher order thoughts, who find some kind of contentment and that euphoria feeling which you get when you talk about such thoughts, you don't get it when you talk about such simple things, daily life things, right? But sometimes you have to talk about that so that every day we don't come up with some lessons. So my question is, how many glasses of water do you drink every day? And why is it so important? It's peak summer. We are talking about temperature close to 40. It's summer. So if you are in a place where you have summer, unlike places where you also have winter, in the sense you also have lower temperatures, like I think in Bangalore it's totally different, but in this state, I've said it before also, in this part of the state it's totally different. Here you have peak summer in the sense you step outside, it's terribly hot and humid, but that doesn't mean that you can just idle and you can avoid in doing work. There are so many things which you must keep on doing, right? That's what you call as life. No matter which area of this world you live in, you browse and you will find places where it's cold, below minus 12 degrees and minus 30 degrees. I don't know how people survive there, but at the same time you will also find, I think, close to 50 degree and 60 degree as well. So both these temperatures, high and low, which is more than people can bear. So we are talking about close to the maximum temperature that someone can bear with naturally, by cursing and by just holding an umbrella probably. That is the kind of temperature I live in here now. It's close to 40. So here in this part of the state and in this part of the nation, it's very important that you drink a lot of water. So I developed that habit when I was staying in PG. In fact, I had this habit of well, before that I had, but it never occurred to me that I was doing something different. But while I stayed in the PG, I realized that actually the amount of water that I was drinking was too much. And it was like a deliberate effort that I was doing to keep on drinking, and not just drinking water when you feel thirsty. It's totally different. To drink some water when you're thirsty is different from living literally on water, in the sense that you realize the power of water as a fuel for you. In the sense, it keeps you going, it replaces even the other beverages that you have. Like I couldn't take tea or coffee at some period of time, which I stopped from that, and even now I don't take it. So literally for the fluid intake you need some substitute which is healthy, in fact, and which is affordable and which is reachable, which is accessible, whatever you call it, and that is water. So the amount of water that I used to take while in PG, while I had no major work to do, was too much. I had nothing much to do, but I would just keep on drinking water. And there was a time when I used to drink it sipping from the bottle. It's comfortable, like we all have sippers. I used to do that, but then I stopped realizing that when you sip, it affects your cheeks, in the sense all your cheek, the fat that you have here, the supple feeling that you have is lost when you keep sipping, So because of that funny reason, I stopped sipping and I started drinking, pouring into my mouth. And when you pour water into your mouth, what happens is that the thirst that you have is not gone. If you're thirsty, you pour water to your mouth and drink. It doesn't give you a feeling that you had enough water. At the same time, if you are just not thirsty at all, you are just forcing yourself to have plenty of water, and you try doing this, pouring from the bottle to your mouth, it doesn't work. So in both these cases it doesn't work. So I introduced myself to a glass, and drinking from the glass was much better than sipping and pouring to the mouth, because I don't know, when you pour it to the glass you kind of get a measurement of how much you are having. You get to know, and it leaves you with the same kind of feeling like you have just sipped it. When you sip your water, probably you are able to consume about quarter a glass of water. That's it, for an example, that is. But if you pour it to your glass, you are able to drink half to one glass of water. That's a difference, and that's a major difference. So that it is when I was staying in the PG, I started using a glass and having water, and just keep on drinking water, and then go down, fill my bottle and come. And that turned out to be a good habit that I cultivated while I stayed there. It still sticks with me, in the sense it's so good a habit. Now let's come to what are the advantages of drinking plenty of water, whether it's summer, whether it's winter, any time of the year. What happens when you drink water? Obviously, somebody asked me the other day that you keep on using the washroom. Is that the advantage? In the sense, if you don't have any work, you can just sit, drink water, use the washroom. But people who have other work, we find it very difficult because we cannot use the washroom as often. I totally understand that. Because whenever I travel or I go outside, in the sense in the train, or you have some tasks to be done in an office where it might take you too long, I drink very less of water. I've seen that. But at the same time, I realize that it is an exception in the sense it's a day when I will not be able to use washroom as frequently as you must. But having told that, let me tell you, in summer when you drink water, this idea of yours doesn't go with that. You don't have to use washroom as many times as in other times in summer. It doesn't happen because you sweat a lot, and somehow it's summer and it's hot, and the water the intake that you have, it just goes with that, and you don't have to use the washroom as often as you would have used in winter if you drank a lot of water. But let me tell you, you have your own excuses for not drinking water, but there are some advantages probably of drinking water which I have experienced, and one of it, let me tell you, is when you are working out, when you are taking a long walk, when you are doing so many tasks which otherwise would have been very difficult. In all those cases, when you drink water, a sip of it, another sip of it, what happens is that you don't have to use the washroom for 1 or 2 hours. Obviously, in 3 hours, don't you use the washroom? In 3 hours, yeah, it's reasonable time if you have that facility, that is, okay? But otherwise, let me tell you, you're going on a walk or you have a workout session, this drinking of water and sipping of water is so helpful that it actually works as a fuel for you. Yeah. In the sense, you just you take 1 or 2 sips of water, it gives you so much of energy and freshness that you feel you can do it. Because I am talking about living in a place where it is so hot that anything you do, you just can't do it. In the sense, your mind will not allow to give the right messages to your body living in this kind of temperatures, because the mind doesn't tell the body that you have to do this, let's go, let's do it. And unless the mind gives those kind of instructions to the body will never do it, because the body doesn't want to bear this heat. So the body tells the mind, let's be like this, let's not do that work, it's okay, it's too hot today, let's do it some other day. But that some other day doesn't come, because summer is for about 3 to 4 months. It's for about February, March, April, May, June. Exactly for 5 months. Usually it rains only in July. Before, long ago, it used to rain in June, but not anymore. Now it doesn't rain in June, it rains only in July. So you are talking about having to bear with a kind of weather which is going to stay for so long. So are you going to just avoid doing things because it's so hot? We can't do it. We'll have to carry on with all the work. So take precautions and bear with it, like you could use an umbrella or do anything. But at the same time, don't forget to take your water along, because this is the fuel for you. You take it, you going out, take some sips. You are at home, you have washrooms, drink plenty of water. Take a glass if you want it, because without a glass you have no idea how much you're drinking, because the reason is that we are engaged and preoccupied with many other activities. Obviously we don't have that much of sense or patience to check on how much water we are drinking without using a glass. So that's the reason it's always better to be using a glass and drink a lot of water, because it's a fuel. It's the fuel, I'm telling you. Somebody had told me that, why do you keep sipping water? See, we people can manage without water. I don't have to argue with people. I'm just telling you because it works for me. It's like the petrol, it's like the diesel for the other vehicles. Our vehicles, our human body, for me, it works only when I have water, enough of water. If I don't have it, I don't have the energy. I cannot do so many things which I can do otherwise in this weather. Even in winter and monsoon, even I am very, 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 very lazy to drink water, because I think we don't feel like drinking water. But even in those conditions, it's very important that you know the value of drinking water. It is good for your hair, it's good for your skin, it's good for your gut, it's good for your body, it's good for your brain, it's good for your body as such, for mobility and wellness. Basically, you can do so many things better if you have enough of water intake. That's a lesson for today. Okay, so I'll be back with something silly like this. These are not silly things, but we people who are deep dwellers like me and many other people, we find that these are not interesting because these are not stimulating. You talk about this, you don't get stimulated, you don't get enough of encouragement out of it, right? I understand, but sometimes you don't find the topic. So I was just drinking this and I realized, let me just tell people how important it is to keep drinking water, enough of water. Okay, so I have 2 bottles. One is this, another black is there, which I fill up. I usually take 2 bottles and 1 flask. Flask is for sometimes. Now I've stopped drinking hot water, because in this condition it's very difficult to survive on hot water. You just can't have it, you simply cannot have anything hot. So I stopped using it from last 2 months. So now I literally survive on this kind of normal water, but I do take 2 bottles of water, and it actually works for me like fuel. It's my fuel. So people who drink coffee and tea, I think it's difficult for them to imagine that you can survive on anything like water. But I am telling you, it's more difficult for people who drink coffee and tea, because a lot of this need to drink something is gone when you drink coffee and tea, right? You get a feeling you have had coffee and tea. Coffee and tea is because I used to consume it long ago, and I know how it feels. When you drink it, you feel you have had enough of something and you no longer need water. But that's where we get it wrong. We do need water. We need it. So even if you are drinking coffee, tea, or just about anything, you still need water. So have enough of water, plenty of water. It will help you survive in these conditions. Probably if it is so hot in your place, that is. If it's not hot, even then you need, I think it's summer. In majority of the states it's summer now, right? So that's one idea of how to deal with summer. This is it. Drink water.